Wednesday, 9th of November 2022. This evening's show. We are both previewing this Saturday's away fixture at Wigan. And if we must, go over the debacle against Middlesbrough at Bloomfield Road last night as the Pool put in a turgid performance against the T-Siders, or is it the Weirsiders? I forget. I'm John Aspinall, this is Seasiders podcast match reaction show. Blackpool 0, Middlesbrough 3.
A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody out there again. I bet you're sick of the sight of us. Second time in, 2 or 3 days, Tim? And what fantastic circumstances to be joining us this evening after the joyous occasion we witnessed at Bloomfield Road last night.
So I was surprised you didn't title this an extraordinary general pod, bearing in mind obviously last night's events. It's interesting actually when I've posted the link on which I do on my Facebook and everything. Normally I might get one comment. I think I've had about 20 comments about last night. And I only posted it like half an hour ago, and I think that's a reflection of the strength of feeling about what we witnessed and what we didn't see that we might have expected to have seen. So I'm looking forward to discussing it and hopefully getting some feedback from those who are listening in and as regards what they think. 'Cause I think AVFTT has been it's a very charged atmosphere on there today. I've only had a couple of looks, but it's been there's a lot of strong feeling out there, isn't there?
Mm. But it's going to be a joyous evening with a laughing emoji, as Andy Bell's just said. But to make it more of a joyous evening, we've got Raggy on. Clapsticks says Raggy is on, yay! So you've got a fan there, Raggy. Welcome back.
You'd have bought him a drink in the Armfield before I had to come on and say that, didn't you, Rags?
Yeah. No, you've got 25 of them.
Clapsticks does also say Appleton out, Mansford out, and Sadler get your cash out. But we'll be talking about these things, those issues that Clapsticks has just mentioned shortly. As I said on the intro, I had a quick chat with the Wigan podcast before I came on air, so we'll play that little video clip later. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the shit show at Bloomfield Road last night, Tim. We went into this game with bated breath, shall we say, but I don't think any of us could envisage how bad it would be and was.
I think the strange thing, Pete's actually, I know with us losing Leanne, Pete's just saying, can he come on, Pete?
Yeah,
just jump on the links on the podcast group, come and join us. Yeah, I think the one thing that really sort of resonated with me before last night was how low of an expectation there was amongst the fan base as to what they're expecting out of the game, which isn't, we're normally a reasonably optimistic bunch, aren't we? But I think there was a most certainly feeling amongst the crowd beforehand that we were going to struggle. And actually the team, when you looked at it on paper, actually didn't look that bad to me. I mean, it was a little bit like, when we did our pre-match prediction, it actually wasn't too far off from that. We were running back whether Carey would be fit, and whether he was fit, we'll come back to that. But he was playing, and we had I think we pretty much picked the team, didn't we? We were not far off at all. I think we probably had Lavery in, and when obviously Appleton put Corbino in. But I think other than that, we were pretty much spot on. And so actually, whilst I had a negative perception beforehand, as the game started, I actually thought we might do better than I'd previously been thinking. And how wrong was I?
Raggy, what was the atmosphere in the Armfield like pre-match? Was it its usual boisterous self, or was there an air of negativity?
It was quite quiet till about an hour before the game, really. But generally the same thing. No one was going there expecting any. I don't know. They weren't expecting a win, that's for certain. Neither was I. But when I did see the team sheet, I did go and stick £20 on Blackpool to win because it's a good price. And I thought, that's a better team than I thought was going to be out tonight. Maybe we've pulled a fast one on them. But seemingly not. A waste of £20 as well.
Well, you and I have lost £35 collectively because I put 15 quid on us to beat West Brom. How wrong I was with that as well. Tim, the team, Maxwell, Ward, Teta, Husband, Thompson, Patino, Dougal, Carey, Corbin, Medine and Yates, as we've just mentioned, we predicted or picked that pretty much.
Yeah, the controversial was Ward, wasn't it? Which I think you, to be fair, as you've reminded us since, called us out on. And
it was just a stupid, bonkers move, putting him at right back.
Well, yeah, we didn't have who else do you put it right back?
As you mentioned, do a 3-5-2 perhaps. He should have done that because we were overrunning midfield.
Well, actually, Jerry Yates ended up playing there for a lot of the game. So maybe we should have started him there in the first place because, it's not great, but I mean, I think he played like right wing back against Sunderland, hadn't he? Presumably that was in the promotion year where we got the draw. Was it draw away from home or did we win? I can't remember now. But when we went up to we won up at Sunderland, didn't we? And I think he played then, and he did a really good job on what's it called? McCleary, McGeady. I can't remember his name then. And he did a good job on McKeedy. So I think that was the rationale. But it's a bit of it's when you're looking for pros and cons for starting somebody in a position. To be fair to Grant Ward, he's not had a lot of football, has he? And then in the second game he plays, you play him out of position, and be expected to, effectively stop their left hand side, which to me was pretty strong, and at the same time, obviously try and make a contribution going forward. It's probably asking too much of somebody, particularly a person who hasn't played any football for a thick end of a year and a half.
Rob Apt is obviously a right back who we've sent out on loan, so that's probably a mistake sending him in hindsight. And Raggy, quite a lot of people have been saying, or I've been reading, it's like, why the hell don't we use the development team or the youth team or the more advanced graduates in the youth setup? Surely it's a perfect time to pick your proper right back, back from the youth team.
He probably got away with it last night as well in terms of playing a couple of players. Because he seemed to have the perfect excuse for it. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I've seen a lot of these young players play, so I don't know if they're even near the standard. But there's one thing for certain. I think if they'd have put some young lads in last night, they'd have appeared to try and work a bit harder than what I saw.
Yeah. Right back's kind of a position you can get away with. It's not one of the most important positions on the pitch.
It's balmy, like you say, putting Grant Ward there. If anything, Williams should have been on that pitch. And 3-5-2.
Well, you actually said as well you'd have played Williams right back ahead of Ward, didn't you, John? I wasn't quite that convinced, but I can see the logic behind at least having a defender in there, even if he's playing out of position.
Well, pretty much every goal came from that side. In fact, it did. Every goal.
Luke Albert's played right back for Everton in the past.
Has he?
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I know he's not the greatest left back in the world, so God knows what he'd be like at right back. But
do you not remember when we had Dujon Sterling who was obviously a right back? When he played him at left back, he was better last season.
Yeah, he was.
Remember?
Well, you can obviously the obvious thing is you can come inside, can't you? And as long as you can tackle with the foot, your weaker foot, which most people can, it's not too difficult to get tackles in that way. It can generally work quite well. I mean, what it also tells us is that if he's prepared to play Grant Ward at right back when he's got the options of, and I didn't realise Luke Garbett had played some football at right back. When he's got somebody who's played plenty of Championship football in the past, who's played at right back, and he's also got a Premier League centre back who no doubt could have done a job at right back. The fact that he doesn't go anywhere near those two suggests he's got zero faith in either.
Surely, Tim, that's a bad decision from Appleton, though.
Well, I think with the benefit of hindsight, it possibly is, but we don't necessarily listen. We've both seen Garbutt's not a very good defender in anybody's book, is he? I mean, the
But he's a
strength of having
defender.
Garbutt. The strength of having Garbutt in the side is generally his contribution towards attacking play and going back to Division 1, his set plays. So if you're going to play him out of position, I'm not sure you can compare him to Dujon Sterling in relation to his ability to switch from one side to another.
Tim. I wasn't.
No, I know you did. I know you did. But the point being is Dujon Sterling was a very, very good defender. And I think arguably a better left back than he was a right back. I'm not sure moving Garbutt from a left back position, he hasn't held down at all in the Championship with us, to the right back position that he's never played since he was a youth player at Everton is automatically going to work. So I think possibly I can understand Appleton's thought process. At least Grant Ward plays on the right. He's right-footed. He's played in a defensive wing back role, and he has had in the past plenty of energy. So I can see the logic if he doesn't trust the other two. And that's the point I'm making. I think what we saw from last night's selection is he doesn't want Williams anywhere near that first team, and he doesn't want Garbutt either.
Yeah.
And so he's prepared to throw somebody in effectively on a bit of Russian roulette.
Another hot topic was the goalkeeper position. Raggy. A lot of people were clamouring for Grimmy to be reinstated ahead of Maxwell. I was even suggesting Stuart Moore be put in, and didn't really cover himself in much glory, did he, Maxwell, in that game?
No, I've been one of them in the past that just didn't care whether it was Maxwell or Grimshaw, because I thought both were pretty good anyway. But I would say it's time to change the goalkeeper around a bit. Something's not quite right. Doesn't like to come out. Not quite as commanding as I once thought he was at the back. I suppose he's a bit of an older head, and he gives him a little bit of experience, and that might be what we're lacking in the team. Some older head.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. And he's not calamity or anything, but it's time for Grimshaw. He didn't do a lot wrong, did he, to get dropped in the first place?
Yeah. So, right.
I think he's probably our better goalkeeper.
Welcome, Pete. Thanks for coming off the subs bench.
Welcome. Nice to see you all.
Hopefully you perform a little bit better than Grant Ward.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
It's not a high bar to get over.
No, poor old Granty, eh?
Okay, let's get on with a review of the game then. And as ever, we're using this Seaside 7 methodology now. We have the main 7 talking points, and the first one I've entitled, Tim, let's come to you on this, is decision making. The first one, Theo Corbeanu maddeningly cutting inside and opting to shoot at the near post and going wide, and opening salvo from us in the game. And why is he not going far post in situations like that?
Yeah, I think it was frustrating, but I think also Theo is, and he's starting to irritate me now, to be honest. He plays for himself, and everything is about him and not the team. And I think there's a few players out. I'm getting the impression there's a few players out there who don't like playing with him, and I think we're really beginning to see why. I think if we're going to play him, he needs to be coming off the sub bench as the plan B when we've got about 15 minutes to go, and we want to let him loose, but because he's not a team player in anybody's book, and he's the type of player if you were like a hard-working player in a team, you'd hate to play with, because he doesn't track back, he doesn't pick up, he goes where he wants, doesn't stick to a structure. Now that can be useful in a given scenario, like you're 1-0 down at home, you need to turn it round with 15 minutes to go, but it's not the way to start a game.
And also, I guess, if you're Appleton, he's not making the right decisions on the pitch. In that, he's just, with Appleton, I'm sure he'll tell any striker in that position, go for the far post, because you might get a rebound. And
he said, and that decision set the tempo for the rest of the night, didn't it? The decision making in every single position on the pitch, including players who you would normally expect to be reasonably reliable for you was beyond the pale. It was in all respects appalling, and Theo was just the first of probably 20 or 30 individual moments of idiocy that we could focus on in the game, and suggest that they should never put a shirt on again for making those type of repeated and stupid and lazy and ill-considered and juvenile mistakes. Give it any adjective you want. They all fit the bill, don't they?
I'll tell you what, with Cole, what I thought as well, or what I've always thought since he plays, if he's got any time to think, disastrous. If he hasn't got time to think, he looks like a world beater. I don't think he knows what he's doing when he's trying to go past them. Sometimes it works out, but when he's got time to think, like slotting it in the far corner, or no chance. No.
I think Mitch has said it's better when his brain's not in his head.
Yeah, it's true.
It rings true with what you've just said there, Raggy. Pete, on the decision-making topic, Chris Maxwell making the decision to stay on his line, go, then come back was a heavy contribution towards our goal, and it was a very poor decision from the goalie.
Yeah, I think you all said in the last podcast that Grimshaw should get a start. And I agreed with that. I think it was time for him to come in, but he's obviously stuck with him, and stuck with him being the right word. He's stuck on the line. He just didn't have a very good game, to be honest with you. And he looks like he's going to let a goal in at least one every game. But he does make some fantastic saves. But, you've got to command your box better than that.
Tim, and, I think. So Pete, go on.
No, go on.
I was just going to say to Tim, what Pete's just said there is he is a good shot stopper, Maxwell. He's great at that, but you've got to have more than that in your locker to be a goalie, particularly at this level, and particularly commanding your area, because it's just been lacking.
I think what he has, and the reason why Appleton brought him back was that Grimshaw wasn't shouting and organising his defence in the way that Appleton wanted him to do, and I think that's something Grimshaw's got to bring to his game. But I think there's something in what I think it was Raggy said before about an age thing with Maxwell. Maybe as he gets a bit older, when he's making a decision, he's sometimes questioning himself as to whether it's the right thing, and then he changes it. And the problem is that split second of indecision is what causes you more problems than actually if you just stick with what you're originally going to do. And we saw that on the first goal, and I think we probably saw it to a degree with the second goal as well, where that split second decision making is wrong. Now, whether the decision for Maxwell, which I probably think is right, which was that he shouldn't have gone for that first ball and just left it to the defender and then deal with the ball when it comes back in, because it was a fairly deep cross that came in, wasn't it? And it was always going past the 6-yard box to the far side, and it was optimistic to say the least that he could expect to get there anyway, even with showing a huge amount of agility. So I think that was the wrong decision. But having gone to then check back and effectively leave the man free to play the ball back in while he's still then trying to reposition himself was the second mistake. So it's indecision has killed him, absolutely killed him. I've got to say also, I thought we stood off the cross, and unfortunately my the man I beat the drum for, Dougal, I think was the one who stood off him. So I think we gave him far too much time to put the cross in. I think we actually backed off as he put it in. Whether it was realistic to close down or not, I don't know. But I don't see many times where Middlesbrough or any other opposition step back rather than step forward when there's somebody looking to line up a cross. It doesn't make any sense, and again, poor decision making.
Well, it was a cross and a head back across goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I'm saying with the first cross, it was
okay, right.
Rather go to him to close down, and we actually, I think if you watch it again, you'll see that I think it's Dougal actually steps back, and effectively there's more room to put the cross into. So, and like you say, the cross is really deep, and I don't think Maxwell was ever going to get it, and therefore he shouldn't have gone. But if he was going to go for it, he should have carried on going for it. At least have a stab at it. Instead, he's out of position. He's trying to realign himself, and he's all over the place.
Raggy, you probably got a good view of it from the north. no surprise to see Grant Ward completely losing his man. Free header back across goal for what was it,
Yeah,
number
and I
29?
just well for my position there was a bit of as soon as that ball went across, my mate just said to me next to me, "This goal, definite goal is," and it was right. It looks like we're going to concede, doesn't it, all the time? And I don't know what they're going to do to address that. It doesn't look good, any of it.
I mean, every time we see a ball coming into the box, you think goal almost now.
And which is chalk and cheese with when we had Keogh there, who, there's no way he'd have allowed that defence to operate the way it did if he'd been there, and it was lacking someone prepared to take control of the situation. I've got to say, until he got, I didn't actually think Hubby played that badly. I thought Hubby was probably the best of
I agree
back
with
four, and I think he a couple of times he just, because they were fanning around with it, he came in and just really put his foot through the ball to get it out, whatever it might be. And I think, and I could see him getting a little bit more irritated and frustrated as the half went on with the contributions that he was receiving from his teammates. And saw that you could see that from Jerry as well in the early part of the second half. It was almost like, what the hell's going on at the other end of the pitch.
So there's a bit of debate raging in the comments about who we should have, Grimmy or Maxwell. I still say give Stuart Moore a go because I want to see a keeper that can deal with crosses. I don't think either of them are strong at that.
I think Grimmy would have. I don't think whoever we had in goal last night would have lost the game. I don't know how much better Grimmy would have been than Maxwell. I think Mitch made some very valid points about Moore, and it's all right bigging up somebody who's not played, but generally there's a reason why they don't play, and it's not just here; it's been other parts of his career, as Mitch very eloquently put it the other night. So, I don't think we need to make Maxwell the scapegoat of this, because we were collectively as a team absolutely shocking, and the only surprise to me about Middlesbrough in that first half was that they didn't go in about 4-0 up.
Tim, if you look at the comments, give Stuart Moore a spell in goals, Wildlife and Bird said, I'd be fine with Moore. Why not? Well, why not? He's not going to be letting goals into his legs, is he? And at the end of the day, he's a professional goalkeeper, and the game we saw him, he was more than competent. So I don't understand this.
I
reluctance to give him a go. Just give him a go. What can
I think we've got at the end of the day, we've got Grimshaw, who is a young goalkeeper who seemingly, well, certainly from what I've seen, has the ability to improve and to perform at a great level. And why wouldn't you nurture that, which is an asset for the team when he plays, and hopefully in the future an asset where we may make money and maybe reinvest it rather than what we've done with Bowler at the moment. But that's the model we should be working to. Not playing journeyman keepers who are never going to go anywhere.
You and Mitch have really got it in for Stuart Moore, haven't you?
I've not got it in for him. I just think Grimmy is. I think Grimmy's
has he wronged
the
you
one
at some point in your life? Has he?
Grimmy's. He's part. He lives across the road, so he's parked the car in the wrong place. Isn't it?
Has he not paid his fees or something at
no,
a
it's
trip to
nothing,
DBE
it's
Law?
nothing about him. But what is he more? Is he about 27, 28, 29?
Give him a chance. I say give him a chance. Can't be anywhere.
I've got to say, the game he played, he did okay. He did okay.
Timmy was very good. He did
okay.
What do you two think?
You've got to give Grimmy a chance now, I think. He's got to play on Saturday. He probably won't, but he should be back in the
I think he will play on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. Next talking point. Boro Pen, ? Raggy was in front of you in the north. Look to Penn from where I was in the west. Was it? Dom Thompson culpable again. In fact, they had two of them. And what was his name? Jones, was it? Got past the pair of them with ease.
Well, yeah, it probably should have been. But, if you go to pen they did get, they probably shouldn't have got that. If my eyes are right on the replay I saw. So
I think the first one, he starts fouling him outside the area, but he's still fouling him when he's in the area. So for me, I said straight away it's a penalty. And I was gobsmacked it wasn't. But when you do watch it, the foul does start outside, but it carries on. And the ref doesn't blow the whistle. So for me, it's a penalty. We'd be absolutely spewing if that wasn't given as a penalty for us, wouldn't we? Absolutely spewing.
Pete,
it
was very, very reckless from Thompson yet again. Didn't need to put that tackle in regardless.
No, he's got at least one massive mistake in him every game, hasn't he? Yeah, it looked a stone wall penalty to me. But obviously, we'll go on to the other one later on. But yeah, I suppose they got their what they deserved in the end because they got one that they shouldn't have got. But yeah, Tomo's. I don't know. Tomo's Tomo and Wrighty. They're the two players we've actually signed, as well as the lad from Shamrock Rovers at Lions. And neither of them are getting a sniff at the moment. Tomo's only played yesterday because of injury.
something funny about Thompson. I don't know if I said this last time I was on here, but a mate of mine who's a City fan who watched us on TV against QPR when we beat him earlier in the season. He said to me that night, "Who's that left back?" Thompson. He goes, "He's not even a footballer." And then last night he texted me, "Did that left back play again?"
He hasn't got a Preston tattoo on his leg, has he?
Yeah.
You'll have to get him to strip in the Armfield Raggy as well, just to disprove that.
I know. Well, Thompson, he's athletic, Thompson, but he's not. Well, he maybe should stick to running. I don't know. Doesn't fill me with any confidence at left back. Anyway.
No. Next point was I've titled Dracula again. Maxwell static on his line.
This
was from the free kick, wasn't it? They had a glancing header, stayed on his line. It was Lehman, I think, the number 26, again in front of the North. Lehman, Maxwell static on his line, 26, big centre half from Boro, should have scored. Free glancing header, just went wide of the post.
To be honest, there was that many of them, John. It's hard to remember them all.
I know. Do you think he's told? Do you think he's told not to come out? Just like, do you think the team's told to put all men in the box on a corner and leave no one up the field? If that really lines me up.
Yeah, mate. Same as me, Raggy. I was saying exactly the same thing yesterday. No, everyone's in the box, aren't they?
I don't know whether there might be some weird stat in football where if you've got all your men in your box, you concede less than if you leave them up, or something weird like that. They all love the statistics, don't they? I don't know, because it doesn't make any sense to me. The ball just comes back again straight away. But maybe there's some weird statistic that says that is the best chance of not conceding a goal.
Well, we always bring Medine back because, to be fair, Medine is our best defender at corners, isn't he? Without the number of times he clears the ball when a corner comes in against us. I can understand why he comes back.
Someone like Lavery, for instance, you'd leave him up there, wouldn't you? Just
quick break. We get the ball, quick break, and you're in, aren't you? It's a chance.
And if Hamilton's on the pitch, I'd always leave him up there because if he's going to beat anyone to it. So I don't know, but maybe it's part. They're obviously told to do it. They must be told to do it, and maybe they're told to not come off the line. The keepers as well. Maybe stick Stuart Moore in. Maybe he won't come off his line. We'll find out.
Someone's just said, "Give us a funny story, Raggy. I'm depressed." There you go. Never mind the bollocks. There's one for you. Wildlife and birds again. Agreeing with Raggy there. Drives me nuts. And just leave Jerry up there.
We did it with Critchley as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's weird. I can never understand it. Next topic of discussion, I've entitled "Comedy of Errors." Take your pick from this lot. Their second, and I've titled it "Comedy of Errors." Grant Ward drilled a hospital ball to Marv. Marv, naturally in the form he's in, miscontrols it. Maxwell makes a save. A beeline for force.
with his feet, as you do.
Pulls out. Force goes over. Pen. Take your pick from that lot, who's clearly wasn't a pen, but it almost deserved to be a pen for the incompetence across the board.
Well, if you go in, to be honest, and listen, I don't want to have too much of a go at Maxwell because he's only one of
You've scapegoated him.
10 or 11 culpable players. But you do not go in with your feet when you're going in for a challenge for end of. And so, obviously, for anybody other than somebody looking at slow motion, it's going to look like a pen. If he'd gone in with his hands as you'd expect him to do and spread himself, the chances of that guy scoring a goal were virtually nil. That's the long and the short of it, isn't it? I mean, instead, he sticks his toe out, then realizes he's going to bring him down and tries to bring it back.
It was a very good dive from Force, wasn't it? I was from the west. It looked like a penalty all day.
He was probably, well, to be fair to me, he was probably half anticipating the fact that he was going to get fouled because until Maxwell withdrew his foot, that's what was going to happen. So in the spur of the moment, you're probably thinking it's coming. Here's the foot. I'm going to jump over it or try and avoid it, and he's gone down in the process. But so it might not have been a deliberate cheat. It might just have been, a natural reaction to somebody coming in with the feet up.
Did he fall over? Did he fall over because he was just so shocked to see Maxwell off his line?
That's a good theory.
But
all the players would have fallen over then, probably, wouldn't they? So
the second goal coming from Grant Ward's side. I don't know if anyone's. I've actually studied the highlights today. He plays a shocker back to Marv.
Oh, it's awful. Just watched it while we were waiting for the show to come on there. He like he's having a shot at goal. He leathered it.
Like he's not a right back, isn't it?
Who'd have thunk it?
It'd have been a good ball if he was facing the other way.
Simon told us he's right back, though, so you can't say that, Maggie.
Oh, wow.
You can't sarcastically say that, should I say? Yeah, so a few people were digging out Marv around me, and upon reflection, they were wrong.
He wasn't great control by him, to be fair, either. He didn't cover himself in glory, did he?
He's really missing Richard Keogh, isn't he? He looks half the player now.
Anyway, just before we go any further, Kevin, it's alcohol free, so Kevin Stewart, sticking with the no booze on the pod.
Raggy, I bet Kevin. I'm presuming you've seen Kev Stewart's tweets about alcohol, so I'm guessing he won't be one of the players welcomed to the Armfield in the near future.
Yeah, same. I only briefly saw them the other day. God knows what's going on his Twitter. I've no idea. I try and stay off social media as much as I can. It's got me in a lot of trouble in the past.
As Mitch said in the chat, it's the podcast temperance movement, isn't it, John?
That's right, yeah.
Very odd.
Maybe you should open a little temperance zone in the Armfield, Raggy, where it's a non-alcohol lager.
Yeah, I could do with a coffee when at the BST meeting. There was no coffee to be had at 10:30, was there?
I think we're going to turn downstairs into a physio room. We'll just come straight over half that squad and sit in there, can't we? Sign autographs while they're getting the feet fixed.
Don't have any stools in there, though. I don't want Gabriel falling over or anything.
Don't think it's big enough for all the crocs that we've got in our team. You have to build an extension. Car park. Yeah, so that really set the tone, Tim, for the rest of the game. That comedy of errors.
I don't think I've watched it. Listen, I've tried not to say too much in the last 24 hours because you can sometimes shoot from the hip and it can be counterproductive for you as well as the team. But I'm struggling to. I'm going back. I think back to Critchley at Gillingham and Critchley's team at MK Dons, which was pretty poor performances. But I don't remember anything quite as abject as what we saw, particularly in the second half last night. It is literally the worst I can remember a Blackpool team playing since before the boycott. And there's some competition, but I actually think I genuinely was embarrassed, and I walked out on them. We've got to come to. It gets worse with a third goal, but I wanted to go after about 50 minutes. It was just so bad. It was unwatchable. And when I walked out, I said to a couple of people, I said, I just cannot watch this anymore. It was so frustrating. And I felt sorry for Jerry, who I think tried to put shift in, and a couple of other players, but the vast majority didn't look like they wanted to be out there. And I think when you're in a game like that where nothing's going right, what you do, and this is what I think Jerry did, you make sure that you do the right things, and you make sure. Well, I've coached before. You make sure if you've done something bad, you make sure that the next pass is a true one, that you get your full foot through it, and that you re-establish confidence. And all over the pitch, we look like a team completely devoid of confidence, completely devoid of ideas, unable to pass to each other, unable to tackle, unable to close down. And it was the most depressing. Well, I didn't last the full 45 minutes. The most depressing 30 minutes or so I can recall for a very, very long time watching Blackpool. And another problem I have is, in that scenario, the manager stands there with his arms folded or his hands in his
Tim,
pocket.
I'll stop you there, Tim. It's not the manager; it's the Blackpool mannequin.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I know people have different ways of reacting, but the body language, the message that body language transmits both to, I think, to the players and also to the people in the stands is extremely counterproductive. And I think he needs to look at that because, listen, I'm not necessarily into people running up and down the line and throwing bottles about and all that business, but some animation is required when the team needs something from its manager and their assistants, and there isn't any. And he looks like he doesn't know what to. I'm not saying this is the case, but it looks like he doesn't know what to do, and that transmits itself all over the stadium.
Yeah, he looks defeated.
Yeah,
a lot of the times when he stood there, and well, this is one of the things I'm sure we're going to touch on. People have been saying all sorts of things. Appleton, should he stay? Go this, the other. I don't blame Appleton for all of this. Last night's performance, he can have some stick for it, and but if we're going to end up in a relegation battle, he's not the man for that job. Even though I don't particularly blame him for getting us in a relegation battle.
We're in it already, Raggy. We're in the relegation battle now.
I know we are, right?
His heart's not in it, Raggy, is it?
He's not going to be the man to motivate a team that fight relegation. And that's not me saying he's his fault we've ended up down there. I don't think he's been back properly. It has come a lot of injuries and a lot of suspensions and things. But when you need someone, and that's when you need someone on the sidelines, shouting and bawling and getting them G'd up, and they should be coming out ready for war. They didn't come out ready for war last night. And that's happened on numerous games now, particularly midweek games. I don't know why that is. But on the counter thing, he sent them out to Preston looking like they were ready for war. So he did something that day. But all these recent games, something's gone. And if we were depleted last night and they were all feeling, even if all the players were feeling a bit, had a lack of energy from illness and everything, they should have at least been coming out there and dying on the pitch, so to speak. And they're not. And if we're going to end up in a relegation battle, I don't blame him, but he would need to go, and someone would need to come in who's going to make that place bounce and make them players bounce.
That's going to be an expensive
I know
decision, isn't it?
It's going to be expensive if we go down.
A lot more expensive.
I mean, is there going to be a get-out clause of that? I mean, 4 years, it's an incredible amount of time, isn't it?
My understanding that there is a break option.
It's got to be.
It's only based on anecdotal comments that have been made to me, but my understanding is there is a break option. It's a 4-year deal. It's not a 4-year deal if there's a break option anyway. It's like you get a commercial lease and there's a break option after 5 years. It's not a 15-year lease, it's a 5-year lease. So
that from Steve there, Tim. Don't think the 4-year contract means much going to Scrafton. The club have sort of protected themselves
Yeah, I think that's where I've probably seen it from Matt. To be fair, or I think even Sean's mentioned it as well in the past that it's not a straightforward deal. I mean, listen, Simon does not run the business that he runs, giving out 4-year contracts with no notice period that can break it. It doesn't make any commercial sense whatsoever. It didn't do when it was announced. It might have suited them to announce it like that, so it looked like that they were investing in him and saw it as a long-term appointment, because you're trying to put a positive spin on the fact that, you know, you've got such belief in the man that's coming in that you actually want to give him that length of contract. But the reality is there's no way in God's earth we're going to terminate and he's going to walk away with 3.5 years pay. That just isn't going to happen.
What do you think? Do you think he should be going?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't until, I mean, it's weird what we've got this year. And I think we said, to be fair, that we would get it to a degree, is that what we don't get is the slightly good performance and the slightly poor performance that we got under Critchley. It's either really good or really, really bad. And it was really good. Listen, we're not even 2 weeks away from when we played fantastically well at Coventry. And we're not 3 weeks away from when we had probably the best ever performance in a home derby against Preston. So you've got this rather bizarre scenario where everything's polarized. We're either very good or we're very bad. And the problem is we've had 3 very bad performances against teams all around us. Well, Luton were a bit ahead of us, weren't we? But particularly 2 teams around us who it was important to put some distance between us and them. And we haven't turned up for either game. And to be fair, I don't think we're that bad against Luton. I think we've had 2 shockers against, I mean, the worst against Middlesbrough. But West Brom wasn't much better. I think we had slightly more cohesion. But we've gone 3 games now without having scored a goal. And to be honest, we're not even look like scoring a goal.
Oh.
And that's well, we're going to go down. We carry on playing like we're doing at the moment. You know, we are, because there's no way West Brom are going to be down there at the end. And there's no way Middlesbrough are going to be down there at the end. Huddersfield won last night. Rotherham won last night. And it starts to look rather bleak. And I think you're going to need about 53, 54 points to have a chance of staying up this season.
There's no one cut adrift, is there? We're 22 points isn't that bad, actually.
It isn't, but if you gross that up, it's just over 50. And that's not, I don't think that's going to be enough this season. I think you're going to need about 53, 54. Yeah. So I think it comes out at 50. I actually did it on that side at lunchtime today. I worked it out. And it's 50.7 points or something. So you're either going to get 50, 51 if we carry on as we're doing.
If he's going to go before January as well, isn't he? So he's not going to get that window unless the results pick up after the break. I don't think we'll win on Saturday either.
He's got to go after Wigan. If he's going to go, he's got to go after Wigan then, hasn't he, Pete? You're right.
I'm not sure he will, though. I think might give him a chance because of the players coming back. They've got a bit of a breather, a break. You know, might get some of the injury struck players back. I don't know. Yeah, if they lose on Saturday, who knows?
You're going to end up with players like Medine and Jerry getting injured because they're playing too much football. They're not getting any rest time at all. You know, it must be frustrating to Appleton because he's got Jordan Thornley on the bench on the sidelines there, and he can't play even though he's probably fit to. Can't play him. He had Connolly out on a totted up on yellow cards. You know, he's had Keshi come back in the last 15 minutes. He's now got Hubby injured. It's like, when is all this going to stop? But you also do wonder why it keeps happening. You know, are they not training right? Which, because we had this problem with Critchley as well, didn't we? Is it the pitches they're playing on? Is it the treatment they're receiving? They did get rid of Phil Horner, didn't they, a couple of years ago? And I think part of the reason they got rid of him was the concerns that the treatment. This isn't. I'm not saying that it is the case, but I think there was a perception that the treatment wasn't perhaps as good as it should be. And they brought somebody new in and they changed it all around. And well, it hasn't changed our injury record. Our injury record, if anything, has got marginally worse. And
It
at
has
the
got
moment,
worse, Tim. There's no marginally
sig-
about it. It has got
significantly worse at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you legislate for people getting injured at birthday parties and things like that. You can't, can you? That's just like completely random. That's got nothing to do with football. But there's other injuries out there, you know. So Hubby's going to be out for 6 weeks now.
At least.
It's like, on what planet do you have all these injuries?
Planet Bloomfield Road. Right, let's get back on track. What's that? What, Raggy, sorry?
It's all right.
Okay.
I'm just waffling.
Jezza Shank. If ever there was a moment that was indicative of the game we saw was Jerry Yates trying to clear the ball, ironically at right back, because he obviously feels he needs to get back there and sort it out, but shanks it horribly towards the goal. And that I thought, right, this is our evening, this. But luckily it got cleared on the line. But we're not digging out Jerry whatsoever. It was great to see him going back, defending out there. But do you think he's gone back there to think, right, I'm going to have to try and do something to stop all these goals coming from this right-hand side? And
he was just trying to be everywhere, Jerry, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Trying to be everywhere. And
I think it was a bit of frustration in it as well, wasn't there? In the way
because he was feeling confident a week or two ago, wasn't he? And he'll probably still have a bit of that confidence in him and just think, if you get me the ball up here, I'll score.
But in the wrong net.
Not a chance. Yeah, well, he's having to go back there and he's doing a proper team job. And
yeah.
I don't know what. Obviously, I saw it, but from the north stand, I think, and God knows what was going on. I don't know how close it was to going in or anything. Was it close?
Yeah, it was very close. I think Marv dug it out on the line. He did have literally our only chance of the game. I think that was in front of the north. Just dragged it wide, but I'd gone by then anyway.
I was on my way. I was walking. I was at the bottom, walking out of that.
Right. Well, I walked out after the right stuff. Tim.
Yeah. 76 minutes it was.
Grant Ward nowhere again on the right hand side. Ball into the box. A chap called Akmom or something, completely unmarked. I think Williams had lost him or two. We had 3 players around marking fresh air, and he just side-footed it in. Cool as you like, and I've put it the right stuff a bit.
Well, there's a bit of
every goal from the right side. I just want that point making. Every goal from the right hand side, from Grant Ward's position.
But there's a bit of a pattern developing with us not being anywhere near their players. It happened on Saturday against Luton, didn't it? With the goal they got, it was also pretty much the case on that first goal. When the ball comes back, we had players in and around. Nobody's anywhere near their player. They get a free strike on goal, and it's basics to get closer to the man, the men in the box. To me,
desire. Not got the desire to get there. Yeah. To work hard and get back.
Well, Raggy, compare that to the desire of the Luton players last home game. They were getting blocks in front of everything, weren't they?
Yeah, we don't have it. I don't know why.
And listen, last year we were doing that. There were people who were properly, putting everything on the line to how many times were teams coming at us and we were doing those fantastic blocks. But that's probably because they had a proper captain back there in Keogh. Doesn't matter whether he had the armband on. He was a captain. He was a leader, and they followed his example. And they've got nobody leading them, no one to follow.
It was, but they did it against Preston. Now, whether that was the whole atmosphere and occasion that just transferred onto the pitch. You don't need to big up the Preston game for players, though, do you? No, but
Gaz and Jerry will have done that.
They went to Coventry and did it again. Very good performance, but maybe that was just on a high still. I don't know. But for some reason, the last 3 weeks, but it's in there. But what's happened in the last week? Sorry, last 3 games. I don't know what's happened. I don't know whether there's been some form. Is it just out of injuries and illness?
Poorly motivated players for me, Raggy.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like, even with injury and illness, and even if it had been whoever's on the pitch, you just, the very least, you expect that desire to try and win.
Do you not think some of them, in my defensive mode, I would say maybe some of them out there shouldn't have been out there because they're still recovering. I don't genuinely think that Carey and Patino should have been playing in that game, but I think they had to because we didn't have any choice.
Gary McLean shouldn't have been either.
No, Medine can't keep playing Saturday and Tuesday. Medine's brilliant when he's on his game, but he can only do that once a week at most. He'll be out for a sustained period soon, I'm sure. Well, he might just get away with it. World Cup.
He was absolutely knackered yesterday.
Yeah.
From the minute kickoff.
Yeah. Like you say, Jerry's going to end up doing something in the end as well. He keeps running around like that.
He's bound to. Did anyone hear boos when Medine got subbed?
No, I heard plenty. They were cheering, both him and Corbin, or cheering him off, but not in a performance way.
I was thinking, have I heard that right? Have I heard them sort of digging out Medine? I think a few people were.
Well, there were cheers in the North Stand when they went off, which shouldn't be
probably
doing
more
it.
aimed at Corbin, wasn't it? I'd like to think
it may well have been. I think the one thing Medine did was at least try and put himself about a bit. The problem is when the ball's coming nowhere near you, and we had so little possession anyway. I don't know what the possession stats were, but Middlesbrough absolutely dominated possession. We just gave the ball away. It's a very lonely existence up there as a centre forward, waiting for a ball that's never coming, and all you're doing is closing down players. And generally, it's you or maybe him and Jerry. I think Jerry was further back, shoring up the defence. But you're closing players down, and all you're doing is closing space, and then the ball moves, and then you're moving across and closing space. And when you're his age, and you don't want to be doing that all the time, because then when the ball comes your way, you're knackered.
63% ball possession to Middlesbrough.
I'm just surprised it's not more than that. Honestly, it was.
Their
XG
was 3.37. Ours was 0.3.
Yeah. So I don't think. I think Sean's XG stats definitely reflected the game, because I'm only surprised we didn't get whooped 5-6-0, because that's how the game played out, and that's on possession, and not just possession but chances. There's one where we miscontrolled it in the area. I think it was still in the first half, and if their guy hadn't completely missed it, it was just a guaranteed goal. That was when it was 1-0. This is when for me they could have easily got in 3 or 4 at half time. A bit more difficult to tell in the second half because obviously it's down the other end. But the north end of the first half, it was like the Alamo. Yeah. And if it hadn't been so shit at finishing, they'd have absolutely put us to the sword after about 30 minutes.
Score almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Final topic. We've touched on this briefly. Walkout. I've never walked out as a game as early as I had. As soon as that third went in, right, I'm done. I'm out of here.
76 minutes for me.
It was about the same for me as well, Raggy. And to be honest, I was wanting to go from, I think I said before, for about 50, 55 minutes. It was, and I thought, I can't go that early. It's just, but it was soul destroying to watch.
At that point, did you think we'd come back into that game? Did you?
No.
That was the thing.
I think when we went 1 down, I was like thinking we're not getting back into this. Definitely went 2 down. So.
Did you turn the TV off, Pete, or did you?
Oh, no, I woke up at 76 minutes.
Didn't miss what.
It was shit.
Eddie didn't want to go to the game. He's got swimming lessons on Tuesday. I said, come on, let's go. He missed swimming once, and he was having a right go at me then. He said, I should have gone swimming. This was boring. He said, don't take me to another Tuesday night game. Who can blame him? I think it's 1 out of the last 8. This should be fun anyway. Player ratings. Whoa, rub your hands together at this. This could be an all-time low.
This is where we needed Liam.
Just give them all a 3 and be done with it.
3? You're joking, aren't you?
Generous there. Generous.
I think you've got to be. Let's be sensible.
Bollocks to that, Tim. Bollocks to that.
Realistic.
Right, Pete, you can start. You can have Chris Maxwell.
Oh God, I was going to give everyone a 3.
As Tom called him, P&E Tom called him Chris Flapswell. See what he means now. Based on
he had a shocker, didn't he? Can you give someone a 2? Can I be harsh and give him a 2?
Certainly can. Do it.
There he is then.
2. Lowest ever score on air, possibly. Oh, Raggy. This is another contender. Grant Ward.
Well, you don't want the right back who's not a right back. Oh, you've even thrown Pervader up there. He changed his name on me. He played
Podcast
better.
presenter gets a 3 for typing the
Pervader
wrong.
played better than Ward. That says it all.
There you go. Right, Grant Ward. Maybe not give him his lower score because he was hung out to dry playing there, but it was pretty poor.
Yeah, me. I mean, what do you do with him? Oh no, you can't. Well, was he worse than Maxwell?
He was definitely as bad as.
Yeah.
There's your answer then, Raggy. As bad
Well,
as.
As bad as, well, then it's 2, isn't it? If we want to be generous to him.
Yeah. Another stinker from Marv, Tim. Going from worse to even worse this season. Ponderous on the ball, making mistake after mistake, and just launching long, hopeful diagonals when he gets it.
My lowest ever score. I'm toying between a 3 and a 4. That's where I'm at.
Cool.
4.
That's fair. Yeah.
None of them
That's not good for me. I hasten to add, I've never been anywhere near. I think the lowest score I've given before is a 5.
Pete, Jimmy Husband, one player who may come out with a modicum of respectability from this game, although not his best.
I thought he played all right, actually.
Yeah,
He didn't put a decent cross in, though, did he? When he had a chance to. 6.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd have given him a 6. That might get him man of the match, that.
It might.
Oh, Raggy, you've got another good one.
Oof.
Tom Thompson, the left back who's not a left back.
DT.
Well,
He plays like he's got the DTs at times.
that's good for my mate now and ask him what he reckons about it. Not even a footballer. Well, he wasn't as bad as Grant Ward, was he? So 3.
Yeah, good logic. I like your logic there.
The Grant Wardometer. That's where we're at now.
Apparently, is it Steve Wright? Thompson was the sponsors man of the match.
Well, I've no idea, but they must have been hammered by that time.
Maybe they were on the Asahi in the Armfield Club. Raggy.
Well, there was someone that came back in the Armfield last night and threw up on the bar. So maybe it was that person.
What, who gave the award?
Yeah.
Tim, Charlie Patino, very anonymous and made quite a few mistakes as well. Maybe suffering from
it was probably his worst performance. I'm not going to be too harsh on him because I don't think he had a lot of support around him, and secondly, I still don't think he's right. 5.
That's fair. So Kenneth of Dougal, Pete.
Oh, bloody
Binned off from by the Aussies, and maybe that was playing into the back of his mind. He's obviously going to be disappointed about missing out on the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't think he had a particular. I mean, I'm not his greatest fan anyway, as you probably know, but I don't know. He didn't have a good game. Where he's been okay recently as well. 4.
Don't know if anyone's noticed. Does anyone watch the warm ups? I've started doing this because obviously Eddie wants to get there and watch it all. But Dougal is a brilliant finisher and striker of the ball. If you ever get a chance to watch the shooting warm ups, he's probably the best out of all of them. So
If he shoots in a game, he might score. Never know.
Sonny Carey, Raggy, bit of a headless chicken.
Yeah, just flick back a bit. Patino, has anyone seen that? The Knobbenders have found their comedic form today with that little Patino caption saying, and then he said to me, we're nearly in the bottom 3.
Yeah, fair play. We'll give him that.
Sonny Carey, I'm not having it. He was well fit or anything last night. He felt he was clueless. I don't know. He's not him anyway last night. So I'm not having it. He was fit or should have been playing that game. 3. But not his fault, I don't think.
The fault of the recruitment team for not building a suitably competitive squad.
Yeah.
Tim, the shopping trolley, Theo Corbeny.
Hope he knew.
I don't want to see him
score.
start. I don't want to see him start for Blackpool ever again.
Me either.
2.
Hey!
Use the FPRS it, Tim. Go on, make it a bit worse.
1 plus.
2 minus.
2
Two's
minus.
too good. 2's too high.
Yeah. 2 minus.
2 minus.
You've convinced me.
Worse than Grant Ward. You know you've had a bad day.
Of the Grant Wardometer. In fact, I'm going
Poor
to
old CJ as well. What had he done wrong against Luton?
God knows.
I'm going to make one, Raggy, a Grant Wardometer graphic.
Hold on to it.
I would say if you're going to rest anybody, in some respects, you might rest Gaz and play and play CJ and actually let and let Jerry play in his centre forward role and mix it up a bit. But you know, we're flogging what actually are our crown jewels at the moment in the football team to death. It's because I don't. Anyway,
While you're talking about Gaz, give him a rating, Tim.
6. You'd have given him 5. I've given him 6. We're not too far off each other, are we?
Okay.
I thought he didn't have a great game, but I thought one thing he did do was keep trying, which I think the ones I've given low scores to deserve it because they weren't trying and they weren't playing for the team and they were shocking. So I still give it. I'm sticking with my 6.
Okay. Finally, Pete, Jerry Yates ploughed a lonely.
He was trying. He tried again as well, and he wasn't the worst player on the pitch by a long way. And I like a Jezza Shank as well. I normally have one in the Royal Bengal on a Saturday night.
Dear me.
Yeah. It's not one of those sort of shanks, Raggy. I'll have that when I get home.
Or go down Cookson Street.
Yeah, yeah. 6.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Right, and this should be interesting. Manager ratings. Let's go with Tim first. And surmise
why?
A bit of a surmise why. Yeah.
I think my really picking up on the points I made before. I think where you need the manager to show some animation, and you need your manager to actually try and create some motivation for the team. I can't see him as close as the people in the West, but the feedback I've had is he did nothing. I think obviously some of the decisions he's made have been proven wrong. I think the decision to keep Grimshaw out of the team as long as it has been proven wrong. And he has some involvement in the purchase of the players who, particularly some of the loan players who are like Pavida's just a waste of a loan. Now, to be fair, we don't necessarily know that at the start, but whatever happens, you've got to manage these players and you've got to get the best out of them. So it's, I'm going, I don't think it's all his fault. That said, I'm going a 4.
3 from me. What you say, Pete?
I'd like to know how many of these players he's actually had a hand in or wanting. Because Pavida wasn't even last minute. It was the day after almost, wasn't it, at the window? Righty was a last minute. How much say does he have?
Well, he's only a head coach, isn't he? So probably not a lot. This is the vaunted recruitment team. You'd probably guess.
But do we honestly think that the head coach doesn't have a significant say in who he wants? Now, whether the recruitment team then deliver it's the other issue. When we had the meeting of the week, Ben Mansfield I think I told this on the other pod, didn't I? There was 2 Premier League players who basically wouldn't get out of bed for the money we're offering. And I haven't got clubs now, so they're basically, because they earn so much money in their careers, they can't be bothered. And for what we hear, Pavida's on, I mean, I've heard a ridiculous figure that he might be on. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But literally eye-watering amounts of money, and he's not even, on basically what we've said, a championship player.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Anyway,
the recruitment though, isn't it? If 2 Premier League players turn us down, that should not have been our last hope of signing 2 Premier League players who are demanding 40 grand a week.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think it's a quick conversation with these Premier League players. You find out what they're about, you find out what they want, and you just leave it at that and move on, don't you?
I think we're too nice. I mean, I think they should have pulled out all the stops to get that game off last night if people were suffering from injuries and pleading illness and all that.
AFC Fylde was off, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they could have found a way. I think we're probably too nice. Like, in terms of that as well, finding out about these players first. Why we're wasting our time.
What's your score for Appleton then, Raggy?
2.
2. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly the most disappointing game since Preston away last year.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree. Right, we've got Wigan away on Saturday. I had a very quick chat. Well, quick, so it's about a 8-minute vid with the Wigan podcast. I'm just going to play that VT now. Go and get yourselves a quick drink, gents, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes. Welcome to the Seaside podcast to Barry Worthington. Barry is the host and owner of the PWU podcast, the Wigan Athletic podcast, Progress with Unity. Welcome to the Seasiders podcast, Barry. Did you know that Blackpool's town motto is progress, but without the unity? It's just progress. I was about to tell you that.
No, I didn't. And like I was just explaining, the name of our podcast is the town motto, Progress with Unity. And that's where we got it from. But I didn't know Blackpool's was progress. That seems it's a bit flat, that, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got a bit of crossover there, haven't we? Yeah, if you go to look at Blackpool's badge, I'm sure it says progress on it somewhere. But yeah. Small world, eh? Small world. Right, so obviously we're playing each other this weekend. As I've mentioned on your show, we've got a very decimated squad. But tell us a bit about Wigan's season, how you've got on so far. Obviously, you're not in great form, and also there's a bit of tension at the club, I believe, with the owners. So give us a bit about that as well.
Yeah, well, we started the season off all right. We drew with your friends Preston 0-0, like everybody's been doing this season. That was at home. Then we went to Norwich, got a point there, 1-1, and then we beat Birmingham away. So we was buzzing a little bit, and we was like upper mid-table, running about 9th to 10th for all the way through to October. Excuse me. I think we played Coventry last night. I think I've picked something up.
I've passed that bug to you of the internet, haven't I? The Cov bug.
Yeah. But we've had a terrible late October and November. With the last 7 games, we've lost 6 and drawn 1. And it's all just falling apart. Don't know what it is, really. I think we've played quite a few home games over that period, and we're shocking at home. We really are. We've only won once. We beat Blackburn. That's the only game we've won at home. We got dusted off Cardiff. We got dusted off Middlesbrough. We lost to Reading. We've just been woeful at home. And like I said, we've had a lot of home games. So that's took its toll, and we've not been able to. But you know what it's like. You get into these bad rooms, you can't pick up a point up. But we went 2-0 up at Swansea after 16 minutes, and they pulled it back. So it was hard work. It's been hard work. Coventry was the latest defeat. That was 2-0. And there's like you said, there's a little bit of unrest from the supporters now. Whether it's called for or not, I don't think it is. I don't think it's called for. The problem we've got is we're losing games, and fans get restless, and they're looking for scapegoats, and they're picking out the manager. They're also picking out the club's owners. and giving them a lot of grief, especially on Twitter. So you know the score, you know what it's like. Richardson out, why does the owners not putting money in? And the thing is, when we got promoted this season, we finished last year as champions in League One, and I'm not saying we were comfortable, but we comfortably promoted, and it was between us and Rotherham for the title, and we sort of edged away in the last couple of games, and so we've come up. And you've got to keep a little bit of faith with the players that have got you there. But when the owners bought us, when we was in administration, one thing they did say, they wasn't going to throw loads of money at it so that we'd end up back in financial trouble again. They wanted to build a sustainable model, is how they put it. And so that's what. So most of our players, I'm just trying to think now. I think we've only paid for 3 players over the past 18 months. I think we've only bought 3 players. So everybody's either come in on a free transfer or they've been loan signings. So this summer, recruitment was non-existent really. We brought in Ryan Niambi, we got from Blackburn. He was on a free transfer. And the rest, Nathan Broad had come in on loan. Edmonds Green came in on loan. And Ashley Fletcher came in on loan. And so we've got a squad. Basically, we got the same squad that we finished last season with, or got us promoted last season. And if you look at our starting lineups throughout this season, I think we've played 20 games now. At the most, there's been 1 addition from last season. So we basically played the same team, that we was in League One with. And I think it's finally caught up on us a little bit. We came up with all the togetherness, the euphoria of being champions. We started the season off great. We play a particular way, which is really tight. We play tight football. We try to. We don't mind giving the opposition the ball. We don't mind them having the ball. But as soon as they get into our half, we're in our blocks and they can't get through us. And that's how we're playing. So it's not an attractive style. It's a very physical style. I'd like to say we counter-attack quickly, but we don't because we've no pace in the team either. That's the other thing. So we're quite laborious when we're moving forward. Most of our goals come from set pieces. We're very good at set pieces.
Oh, God. Yeah. We concede loads from set pieces, so that's not good.
No, well, the two of us ones were both corners. Both come from corners. Right. But Will Keane, the top scorer, went off on Tuesday night at Coventry injured. So it looked like he'd done his groin, so he's probably not going to play. He's the main scorer from these set pieces. Great in the air. He's got 7 goals already. But the delivery into the box, we've got Max Power on one side, James McLean on the other. They're both in swingers, and the deliveries are spot on. They really are. Where our goals are coming from. But I think we've been sussed out a little bit because we play the same home or away. We play like this close, tight, ugly football at home as well as away. And I think we've been caught out a little bit. The coaches have sussed us, and they're finding ways to get through these blocks now. So we've been finding it really difficult over the past 6-7 games. So I
think you'll be all right on Saturday, Barry. Personally, you've mentioned Max Power and James McLean. What's the other guy? Will Keane. I noticed you've got Curtis Tilt playing for you. He played for us for a couple of seasons. How's he been getting on? We'll leave that there. I don't want to talk about Curtis Tilt. But gents, after listening to that, Wigan score the vast majority of their goals from quality balls into the box from either side and from set pieces. What could possibly go wrong at Wigan on Saturday?
They've got Max Power. Is he from the Marvel Universe?
Maxwell's going to have a good time then if he's in there, isn't he?
God. Maxwell and Max Power.
Oh.
Oh.
Be a 4-0 win, won't it? We'll win 4-0 and wonder what the hell we were on about.
We must be taking a fair few actually on Saturday because there's 3 coaches going from Bolton, and don't know. I don't know if he's got any handle on how many numbers we've sold, but maybe with a vociferous away support behind them, a few of the players who didn't turn up on Tuesday night will turn up on Saturday and hopefully prove us wrong and prove that some of the scores we've given them tonight aren't deserved and are not a reflection of the way they play football normally.
Well, I was told close to 3,000 last night, but I don't know if it's true or not. But,
Wayne's saying 2.
Right.
But I mean, listen, a good 2,000 of us away from home can make plenty of noise, but we've got to have something to tag on to, really, haven't we? And they need to turn up on the pitch because it was so quiet. Well, it's going to be quiet, isn't it? When you're watching what we watched last night, it's going to be quiet and nobody's going to get behind us. It's horrible to hear the away fans singing, "Is this a library?" and "Is this a fire drill?" and it's not what we've been about, is it? Since we've come back, we've been noisy and supportive and there's been a joy to going to watch Blackpool even when we've lost, and there was no joy to be found last night. That was for certain.
So the World Cup can't come fast enough, really. 3 months, 3 to 4 weeks for players to get back from injury, from sickness. So what's everyone's gut feel then? Firstly, at Wigan, and are we going to get out of this rut? And who's to blame for the situation we find ourselves in at the moment?
well, I'd like to think they've got to win at Wigan. If they don't, it's going to be a very sorry 3 weeks. And they better hope England win the World Cup then to take everyone's minds off it. That ain't going to happen either. So I think I don't know. Like I said before, if we think we're going to end up in a proper relegation battle all season, then he's not the man for that job.
Do you think we will, Raggy? What's your gut feel? Do you think we're going to be in a relegation battle and we're going to go down?
Well, it's hard, isn't it? Because 2 weeks ago, I didn't think that at all. The last 3 games, I do think that. But like I said, I don't necessarily blame him for getting us in that position. There have been numerous reasons why. But if we are going to be in one, I'm not seeing him as the guy that's going to get us out with the same team. Or are they going to say to him, look, we are going to invest in January. You will have the freedom to get 3 or 4 players in if the calibre we need. If so, stick with him. If not, we're going to find ourselves late in the season struggling, aren't we, when the players are tired again and injured again.
Pete, who's to blame? Rob Walker says 70% the board, 30% Appleton. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm not sure Appleton's to blame at the moment. I think the injuries and the illnesses and that. I mean, it's we said earlier the injuries are just ridiculous this season. I mean,
could even blame the physio. The physio's.
No, I just think I think there's a lot of luck in it. It's just happened, doesn't it? But I'm not convinced that he's been supported properly by the board. I'm not sure that we're in the Championship, and I know it's easy for me to spend someone else's money, but you've got to look at if you're in the Championship, you've got to compete in the Championship. If you're on a League One budget, you're not going to compete with the players that we need. And we've had Thompson and Wright, and the 4 loanees, and we could easily be sending 3 of those loanees back because we're not playing them anyway.
Let's hope we do.
Was it 5 loanees with Fiorini? I mean, he looked quite useful, but obviously, when's he going to come back?
There's only really Patino you'd want to keep out of that lot, of that rabble.
Yeah, what's the point of having them and paying lots of money for them if they're not going to play? I mean, so I think the recruitment team, as we've said before, I'd like to know what's going on there, how much say the managers have, Appleton, Quitchley, what say they had. And I think Neil Critchley leaving at the time he did, even though I'm not that bothered that he left, I think that really put a spanner in the works, and I think he's got to take some of the blame for what's going on at the moment.
Right, Tim, to close out, who's to blame? How do you think we're going to get out of this, and are we going to get out of this?
Just with Wigan on Saturday, I genuinely can't see us getting a result.
I said 2-0 to Wigan.
Yeah, I just can't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be there, and I'll be singing myself hoarse trying to encourage them, but I'm not confident. Who's to blame? I think you've fundamentally got to look at recruitment and say, and I take Pete's point. I think Critchley leaving when he did has an impact, but we've been singing the song that we've got this recruitment team that was set up a model where it doesn't matter if the coaches leave because they're the coaches and the recruitment team are responsible for the squad. And the reality is, if you look around, the players that are playing at the moment, a vast majority are or were League One players. And some of them have the ability to step up to the next level. Some of them have the ability to step up to the next level on occasion. And some haven't got the ability to step up. So, and the reality is we're playing a majority of the team that played for us in League One because our recruitment of players of a better calibre has been non-existent. And if you take Patino out of the equation and look who we've got, who we've recruited, who's better than we had when we got promoted, I can't think of one.
No.
Keogh as an old head last year was fantastic. Bowler.
Keogh's probably one of the biggest misses, Tim, isn't he?
Huge.
He's not been replaced. He has not been replaced.
And it was a late one again, wasn't it? And it was about a relocation issue for him because obviously, his family's all down there and whatever, and he was probably living out of a suitcase up here, which you don't want to be doing when you're 35, 36. So I get all that. But he was a big personality in the dressing room, massive personality. You don't have to watch all the VTs of when they're doing all the shirt unveiling. He's right in the middle of it all, isn't he? And he was a big character. So we've lost him. We've lost Bowler. They were the two recruitees last year and made a difference. Bear in mind, of course, we also had Kevin Stewart fit for at least part of the season, and we had Wintle playing as well, who was a decent midfield player. So we've got all those. We've got all those players. We had Dujon Sterling. So we had where we had loanees coming in. They were bringing in a bit of quality, and we had two quality players. We've lost them. We haven't brought in the quality loanees. We've got putting the blunt of it, the crap. Pavida's attitude apparently is an issue. That's why he's not been playing, not been turning. Again, what I'm hearing on the grapevine, not turning up to training, sent to train with the kids as a result. This is somebody who's meant to be a Premier League player who should be stamping his authority on a game in the Championship. And I was excited when he first joined us. I mean, that first cameo, I thought, great, we might actually find somebody who could do a bit of what Bowler does. And you know what? I won't go back on Theo again, but he's the last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes at best. So we've lost the best two. We haven't got good loanees in. And you've got to say recruitment. Now, then, whether they've identified players and the board have said no, because they've got unrealistic expectations as to what this current squad can do, I don't know. And nobody knows that really. So it's difficult to apportion blame between the two. But I don't blame Appleton. I don't blame the players, really, most of them, because most of them, week in, week out, are playing at the optimum because they have to Middlesbrough had a £6 million centre forward. And they brought a Brazilian off the bench last night. You know, well, we're not in the same league. So our players have to be, and you get it the first year when you come up, they've got to be punching above the weight week in, week out. And the only way you change that is by recruitment. And we haven't done it.
Part of Appleton's claims were, though, that he was very good in the loan market. And other than Patino.
But we don't know whether they're his choices or not. I don't know, but I hear that. And the reality is, whatever way you look at it, because the previous year, and it took a while to settle in, but we had Ellis Sims, didn't we? You know, we had a bit of quality. Patino has shown some quality, but the reality is we need 3 or 4. We to actually make an impression on this league, we need 3 or 4 quality loanees, and we haven't got them.
Or maybe is it Appleton can't get the loanees that he claimed he could? Is he identified them and then we're not prepared to pay the money, or we can't get them, or there's a reason why they're not wanting?
Because a lot of these clubs now they want quite a big money for the loanees. They don't give them away, do they?
No.
But we should know that. We should know that.
Yeah, we should. And we've got to be prepared. We've got to be prepared. If you're going to play this league, we are always going to be punching. We've got to be punching because you know there is absolute madness paid for players in this division. It's the division that loses the most money, and I don't think the board are comfortable with the type of outlay that you've got to put down in order just to be in there. I mean, we laugh at how much Preston lose every week, but the reality is Preston are losing that amount of money every week just to stay in that division and survive. And unfortunately, unless you could do the Brentford, unless you could do a Luton and maintain that, and to a certain degree we did last year, you can't keep doing it. You can't do it year after year after year unless your recruitment is absolutely A1. It's got to be A1. You've got to be the best.
And some of it's got to be made up by the desire and the motivation to make them players play a little bit better than they probably should or probably are. That's the
Holloway factor.
Holloway, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Director
the
of football. Ian Evatt, manager. Tom O at his side.
Where's Tomo gone today? I've just seen him.
Oldham. Head of recruitment, ironically.
Why? Yeah. Why are we not using Steve Thompson?
Coming in for Ward, Bridcut, and Stewart. Apparently.
I should Coco.
I think we'll leave the show on that gag, Raggy. So well done. You've certainly earned your corn this evening. Raggy, quick, what's your prediction for Wigan before you go?
4-0 win.
4-0 win. Pete?
2-1 loss.
I said 2-0. What did you say again, Tim?
Hart says 2-1 win. Head says 3-0 loss.
Ooh. Come on, we've all been 4-0. 4-0.
Let's hope Raggy's right.
Right, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for downloading. Like and subscribe. Up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.